Hello, champions, and welcome back to What's My Role, episode 24. I'm your tank Bean, joined today by GT Goat.
Yeah.
Donnix.
Hey.
And Golden.
Howdy.
And today we're talking about the Affix Overhaul again.
I ain't going to have no camera.
No camera.
What you be doing over?
He's got his titties
mic and
out.
cam already in use.
God damn. Why does this always happen? Ask them to close all apps and tabs and refresh.
So we have 3 halls of infusion.
Well, let's find out what I get.
What are they all?
Watch it be. No, Donnix has a +3, and so does Golden.
Well, so we knock the 2s up first, then we hit the 3s up.
Whoa.
Wait, which one's halls? Is that the one with the frog?
That's the one with
That's
the
the
frog.
one that you fucking hate.
Fucking hate
Yep,
that.
and the ice,
I'm
the
gonna
ice
quit playing
mechanic.
this game. Which I will say, last time the frog wasn't a problem. It was the witch bitch. Okay.
Yep, she froze you up, didn't she?
No, it's because I'm too fat to run out of the fucking circles.
You just have to be right on the edge of the circle when it starts, and you'll be good.
Listen, I understand that my player's fat.
I got
The-
Xal'atath Academy 3, which I think we've already done a +4 this week.
Yeah, it's not horrible though.
Yeah, it's definitely doable. It's probably an upgrade for if we can go through.
Actually, here, I don't know.
Yeah.
If we do time the +3, we'll be able to swap keys. And if we don't time it, we'll have multiple +3s to try again. So,
I feel like
not
I'm
the
fuzzy.
worst.
It says mic and it says issue, but I see my mic moving, and you guys can hear me. So
So, Golden, we have a +2 halls of infusion. Donnix has a +3 halls of infusion. I have Xal'atath Academy 3. Okay, so Affix Overhaul 2 Electric Boogaloo. Brand new Xal'atath affixes in War Within, bolstering and sanguine removed. So we just talked about this 2 weeks ago, and they basically completely overhauled it again based off of all of our bitching. Right? So
Well,
what are the main points? There's
The ones we were bitching about are still in.
no, those are gone.
Are you sure?
Yeah, they're removing sanguine, bolstering, raging, and bursting, and they're like, we heard your feedback that applying bonuses unevenly to players feels exclusionary regardless of overall impact. Affixes that were part of the last Mythic Keystone test will no longer apply to Keystones, Reckless, Focused, Attuned, and Thorned. They just chucked them.
The article I'm looking at's just talking about the new. It didn't talk about what they're getting rid of.
Oh, in the chat here, I shared the important one.
Oh,
No sanguine, bolstering, raging, bursting. None of the new ones that we were bitching about last week. So the new affixes, there's starting at level 2, there's going to be a set of rotating affixes that are under the banner of Xal'atath's Bargain. These are kind of like thematic to War Within. So they've only announced 2 of them so far. Ascendant. While in combat, Xal'atath rains down orbs of cosmic energy that attempt to overpower or empower nearby enemies, increasing their haste and movement speed. If players disrupt the orbs, they claim the effect for themselves. So that's kind of like that whole Kiss Curse deal where if you don't deal with this affix, then the enemies get a little bit faster. But if you do deal with it, you get the benefit that the enemies would have got. So that's pretty sweet, right?
oh yeah.
yeah, I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
And then the second one they announced, which I don't know how many there's going to be. I'm going to assume there's going to be a good handful of them because they did say they still want there to be some variety, week to week, right? So the second of the 2 that they have announced is Frenzied. Non-boss enemies become frenzied at 30% health remaining, increasing their haste by 40%, but increasing their damage taken by 20%. So they'll start casting much faster, but they'll also be dying faster. So that's also kind of cool too. I mean, I like both of these. They're much simpler than what they were trying to do 2 weeks ago with like Reckless, Focused, Attuned, and Thorned, where it's like certain damage types are doing more against certain enemies, and it's just like, come on, it's too much. And then this is just it's a lot simpler, right?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. It looks like there's 2 others also.
Oh yes, these ones pick up
at
later.
level 7 and 12.
Yep. What is it? Starting at +7. So this one doesn't rotate. This is just every +7. This is what gets added.
Yeah.
Challenger's Peril. So dying subtracts 15 seconds from the time remaining instead of 5 seconds. So whenever you hit that +7 affix, it's just going to mean dying is going to be that much more. It's like 3 times worse as far as losing time. And once again, this one's not rotating, but it is just a lot simpler to figure out and work around. And then what's the other one? Starting at +12, Xal'atath's bargain affixes are replaced with Xal'atath's Guile. And this is, I guess, because they're trying to, instead of doing, what were they saying, like a one-size-fits-all type thing, they're doing it so that the lower keys have a lot more variety, but once you get up to the higher keys, so all the people that are like pushing to see as far as they can go, they're going to have less of that variety, but it also makes the pushing more uniform, I guess. So Xal'atath's Guile will replace the rotating bargains that are given at +2. And Xal'atath betrays players, revoking her bargains and increasing the health and damage of enemies by 20%. So it just makes the enemies much stronger starting at +12.
So is it going to be like one of these and then one of the other ones that are rotating in? Or is it just kind of in the mix?
Here's what it's going to be when you're at anything that is +12 and beyond. You're going to have Fortified and Tyrannical, which we'll kind of talk a little bit more about that in a second. You'll have the Challenger's Peril, which is the 15 seconds instead of 5, and then you'll have the Xal'atath's Guile, which is the 20% more health and damage.
Yeah, so this is saying at +2, bargain affix appears on a weekly rotation. And at +4, Fortified and Tyrannical is active, alternating on weekly rotation.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that means that the bargain affix is just going to be in rotation with the other affixes? Or is it going to constantly be there?
Well, the bargain affix will be there until you reach +12. And then it's replaced with the Xal'atath's Guile one. So instead of the weekly +2 rotational Xal'atath's bargain thing, it'll switch to Xal'atath's Guile. So everything +12 and above doesn't have that rotating affix anymore. It just has enemies have increased health and damage. And then the +4 and +10 are both going to be rotating Fortified and Tyrannical. So you'll have, if you're just running +4s through +9s, you'll have one or the other. But once you reach +10, you will have Tyrannical and Fortified. So yeah, you have this rotating one at +2, and once you hit +12, you don't have a rotating one anymore. So I mean, overall, it's just it seems a lot simpler, a lot more easy to wrap your head around. I think it sounds good. We won't really know how we feel about it till we're playing it, but it seems like things will get, once you hit +10, you got Tyrannical and Fortified, so things get pretty tough around there. And then once you get to +12, you also have, Tyrannical, Fortified, and 20% more health and damage from enemies. So things should just kind of get pretty dicey once you get up to these higher keys. And so with that, one thing I wanted to ask you guys about was, they say at the bottom here, we're evaluating how dungeon scores are granted under this new model. And because right now your score is based off of these rotating weeks where, you have your Tyrannical week score and your Fortified week score. But with this, you'll basically have both, and there isn't really a rotation like that. So how do you guys think that the score is going to work under this?
I think it's going to be beneficial to your just now starting Mythic Plus players, because they're actually going to be able to put numbers up on the board instead of staying in the low numbers fighting their asses off, in my opinion. Then once you hit the 12, that's when the pressure starts getting put on. That's just how I'm feeling it. It's like they're wanting to appeal to the new people hopping in that have been on a while of, I just pushed a 10 last night. I'm getting pretty damn good. So to me, it seems like they're trying to do a confidence builder and then putting heat on you once you start digging in.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
Are you asking, so is it only when you're doing 12s and above where it's Tyrannical and Fortified? Or are you saying that from now on, Mythic Plus will not have separate weeks for Fortified and Tyrannical? Is that what you're saying?
There is no separate weeks now because once you hit plus 10, you are getting Fortified and Tyrannical at the same time.
Right, but what are you getting starting and before you get to 10? So if they don't alternate every week, what are you, so are you saying you get nothing? You don't get to, it's not Tyrannical or Fortified, because then that's how
once you hit plus 4, that is when you get the first of the two, and they do swap positions with each other every week. But you're still gonna, if you get to plus 10, you're getting both of them.
Then I think to answer your question, the way it's gonna be really easy. There's just not gonna be a Fortified and a Tyrannical. So there won't be separate dungeon. There won't be 2 scores being added, right? Like your best run plus whatever from the other run, whatever percentage that is. I think it's just gonna be, you're just gonna have one set of points for a dungeon. You know?
Yeah.
So dungeons are gonna be worth more points. It's gonna have to be. Because there's not going to be 2 different ways to run it, right? So
yes,
or they'll change the whole scoring system and lower the total.
Yeah, the thing that I was wondering is if it's still going to end up being plus 5 on every dungeon, or is that going to be too easy? Because as it stands now, you basically have to get plus 5 on every dungeon 2 different weeks.
No, I don't think so, because you can't get the achievement like we want Keystone Mastery. Well, you can't get that unless you run 5s. So if you're doing a 5, you're getting Fortified or you're getting Tyrannical, right? So there's no 1, right? So it's just 2, and then it can be 3 or 4 right and up. So I think that's good because it'll make it like easier to like 2s and 3s and even like 4, that's still like pretty early into Mythic Plus, right? Especially when you can go up to 10 for rewards and then keep going. I think that's okay. I think that's not too easy. I think that makes it to where you're not going to pass that 5 unless you can, you know what I mean? Like even with this season now, right? Like we are dealing with Fortified and Tyrannical.
Yeah.
So even if we could get to a 5, we may not necessarily beat a 5 with those affixes. I don't think it's too easy, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I get what you mean though.
Yeah, because then it would be like, let's say the season just started. Those people that get Keystone Master in the first week, they have to plus 10 everything, right?
Right.
So once it switches to this system, if we only have to plus 5, that could be something we could do in 1 week, and we're not talking about, oh, but next week if we can do this and that. It's just like, let's just get plus 5 this week, and then we're good for the rest of the season.
I think that's good to not waste people's time, because then you can push higher. But I don't know. I could see an issue. I could see, because what's going to happen is you'll hit a wall at 5. That's what's going to happen, right? Because if you're not used to dealing with Fortified or Tyrannical, and you pass your 2, maybe you get a +2 on it. Now you're at a 4, and then you roll to your 5. You're going to hit a wall, right? Because it's just like with that, like your gear is going to hold you. So I think clearing lower level Mythic Plus dungeons is going to be easier. You won't be like, you won't need, I don't think you'll need as much of a safety net with your iLvl. You know what I mean? Like you can tell when we go to a Mythic 0, we're like, oh, we're going to steamroll it now because of our iLvl.
Right.
I think you're not going to be worrying about that issue for 2s, 3s, and 4s, and then when you hit 5, you're really going to feel that. You know what I mean? If it's scaling the same exact way, you know, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe 7s are going to be the new 5.
Yeah,
you know,
maybe
the old 15.
Because you got to think that if they're changing the system, that they're also going to balance like your acquisition of gear and eye level and stats to kind of fit with that. So maybe you'll gain strength a little bit slower to kind of make up for the fact that you don't have to worry about like 2 separate weeks where you're making points.
Yeah. If you think about it, they're making the game a lot more new player friendly.
Yeah.
Because we just had a whole talk about taking Goat and throwing him into Mythic Plus, right? And so he goes from a 0, and then he's in a 2, and then he's in a 3, and stuff's immediately killing him, so there's no, like, chance. But if you think about it, this gets people into Mythic Plus. Okay, maybe the enemies... I'm assuming the damage is obviously going to go up, but it won't be as punishing as the additional stats that enemies are given in Fortified and Tyrannical. So I think
Yeah.
I think they're getting people more. It's like an easier way to ease into the end game content in Mythic Plus.
Yeah, that's a really good point because they've also recently done this whole thing where, heroics are now what a Mythic Zero was, and a Mythic Zero is now
Right.
what a +10 is. And then also with this, instead of getting Fortified and Tyrannical at +2, it doesn't come until +4. So that's already, 2 and 3 are already going to be easier than they were before because of that.
I think it's striking a balance, right? So season 3 and every season before that, even with the other expansions, I mean, how many dungeons do you have to do in a row to get to a 15? I mean, good Lord, right? Like that's a long climb. And then they did the exact opposite this season. So you go from doing a Mythic Zero, well, go ahead and throw on 10 levels.
Yeah.
So then you're hitting a wall, right? So it's like, from Heroic, to Mythic Zero. So that's a huge, skill and experience gap for someone to overcome. So that's not really beneficial for new people. I think they're trying to find a sweet spot to where people who have been doing Mythic Plus for a while don't have to go through several iterations of what to them would be lower keystones to finally get to the level to run the keys that they're, experienced and capable of doing. But they want to make sure that people who are brand new also kind of get to ease into Mythic Plus. So, you know what I mean? And then it ramps. I think that's the idea behind it.
Yeah. And I don't think it's too bad because the heroic dungeons do also give you a lot better gear than they used to before, where it's actually worth running a new player through heroics, and then they're essentially geared to be ready for zeros, even if it is, kind of that really big step. I think it all sounds good, and I think it does sound like it's going to be better for newer players. And it definitely is better for someone like me who doesn't want to think about a million different damage types and just break my brain trying to understand what the hell the affix is. But anybody else have anything on that?
I'm just really happy about it.
The only thing I was going to say is with it not mattering, it swapping back and forth, what they're probably going to end up doing is put a steeper point curve on the keystones. So, you might get 50 points for a Mythic 2, and then if you do a different Mythic 2, another 50 points, but if you redo it, you probably won't get anything. And then maybe a 3 is 75, and then maybe a 10 is something else. But the only way that that's going to work is if they make that Keystone Master number something kind of ridiculously high. In order to make it a real achievement.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of my main question with all of this, because they announced so much here, but that the not having the Fortified and Tyrannical rotation just really fundamentally, I would say, changes how the score has to be worked. And then, I mean, it can be as simple as they want to make it. So I don't think, and I think generally they're trying to make things simpler. So I just don't know if it's going to be, is it still going to be +5? Is it going to be 6 or 7? Is it matter?
It might not be. It might just be a total amount of points.
Well, that is the way it is now. You need a certain amount of points, don't you?
Right, yeah, because everything kind of gives you a certain amount of points based on its difficulty, and just to get the base amount you want to have.
Right. You
Plus
want to have
5s.
15s. Or sorry, 5.
Some other quick stuff. They're kind of changing a lot of stuff about PvP coming in War Within. I know we're not super into PvP. I do want to get more into it because it is a lot of fun. But they're changing, as we know, there's not going to be PvP gear in the vault anymore. So they're changing, you can get a certain item now to add sockets to your PvP gear. You'll be able to buy recipes to craft gear that you don't need to repurchase each season. You'll just kind of recraft the gear, and you can use your honor, which can also be transferred between characters at an 80% conversion rate. Recipes are not bind on pickup, can be sold and traded. So, I mean, it kind of seems like they're also making PvP much easier to get into and since you don't have to rely on the vault, you can kind of just play PvP to get PvP gear.
And have fun at the same time? Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. I get trampled every time we pop in PvP.
Also says you don't have to wait for, because right now, I guess, to do PvP gear, you need the sparks that you're only getting like once every 2 weeks or something. And they're changing that to be basically reagents that you use. So if you really want to like get your PvP gear fast, if you put in the effort and the time, you can do it quicker instead of being forced to wait the 2 weeks to upgrade each time. So, I mean, all that sounds like it's just going to make PvP a lot more accessible and easier to get into, which is kind of similar to what I think they're trying to do with all the Mythic Plus stuff. So I'm excited for that.
We'll see how they work it. I said, keep it simple, keep it stupid. You'll keep the rest of us happy. That's how it works.
Yeah, we always keep it stupid. And then kind of the last thing I wanted to bring up was the UI stuff. I don't know if anybody looked at this, but there is now like a map legend, and they have like new symbols to kind of identify everything on the map, and it just looks so much better than it currently is.
Yeah,
because right now it's a mess trying to understand the map, I feel like, at the moment. But they've got like campaign quests, important quests, legendary quests, meta quests, local story in progress, more symbols and more obvious symbols to kind of understand what is going on around you. Oh yeah, and then they have like search boxes in character select screen. You can search by name, class, profession, or location.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, the new spell book doesn't have like a million pages to go through. It's like much bigger, so you can kind of see a lot more of all your stuff.
And they added a filter to that as well.
Oh, did
in a
they?
search bar.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, very nice. Because right now it's annoying as hell, like going into your like talent tree and having to search through that.
Yeah.
And then also quest log. They're getting new. You can filter by quest log, name, or objective as well. So lots of kind of like just like basic stuff is getting better, which is always nice.
Yeah.
It's quality of life.
Quality of
things.
life.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean that's kind of all I wanted to talk about. Unless anybody else has something.
No, not really.
No.
Oh, I had a. What'd you guys do last night? You guys were on, right?
A lot of things. We got so far.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Wow, it was amazing.
Yeah, so we got +5s on everything.
Yeah,
We got
sorry.
Keystone Master.
I was holding you guys. I knew it.
It was just
I
the
was
three
holding
of
you
us
guys back.
too.
Yeah, we just 3-manned everything.
All right,
really.
go. I'll let you.
And then you you each cleared your own mythic +5 by yourself too.
Yeah,
Almost. I
like didn't
almost
even
did.
pug it, just did it solo.
Yeah, just did solo with a healer.
So, anyways, so I was gifted a game last night. Didn't really know a whole bunch of information on this game. What's the name of this game? I keep forgetting it. Phenomenon?
Phasmaphobia.
Phasmaphobia.
Yeah, I've heard of Phasmaphobia.
Okay. So these two over here didn't decide to brief me on exactly what happens in this game.
Good
Okay.
stuff.
So we hop into this game. We're trying to figure out this ghost thing. There's noises and there's creaks. And I'm like, ooh,
That's so scary.
can't wait for, something to happen. The Ouija board starts going, moving around. I'm like, ooh.
No, we didn't even see what it said either.
No.
And the next thing I know, I turn around and I'm instantly in a completely different area. After a loud noise goes off, this thing's staring at me in a corner, and there's like bags hanging, and I'm like, okay. I'm trying to hit the walkie button because I'm like, guys, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And then the bags start wiggling. I realize they're not bags; they're body bags hanging from the ceiling. Yeah. So the heart starts racing because this thing is charging me now. Yeah, so it was a good first experience into Phasmaphobia.
Yeah, well, from our point of view, you were kind of just like contorting
Yeah.
as your bones broke and you
Yeah.
flopped over on the floor. And at that point, I think I ran out of the basement and left
left
Donnix
me.
alone down there.
You were the only one with the flashlight.
Yeah, I was the only one with the flashlight. I didn't realize how dark it was without one.
It was pitch dark. And all I could hear
on
was
the
shit
radio.
moving around me and like weird like croaking noises, and I'm like, get back here, get me out of here, get me out of here.
I was on the radio like, where are you? Let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah, so that was definitely a fun experience on one of those kind of games that I thought was stupid. I don't think it's stupid anymore.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
So next time he has to play it in VR.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
VR's charged if you want to try it again.
Oh god.
I just don't know what I'm going to hit up in this room. Hopefully it's not a monitor.
He's gonna go running, smack into the wall.
Yeah, I want to jump backwards and just land in all my expensive fishing equipment and break it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a spooky ass game for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like that. They have my heart racing from the monitor. I can only imagine what a VR is going to feel like.
Oh yeah. It's gonna be nasty, dude.
Just it's going to pop up from me.
What did you do
There
last
goes the
night?
monitor.
Punch my monitor.
What about you, Golden? What did you do last night?
I went to bed early, man. That's what I did.
No, that's exciting.
But on the topic of horror games, if you want to crap your pants or cry for your mom, you should play Outlast.
Outlast. That sounds familiar.
I never played that one.
It's been out for a while. I never played the second one, but if you haven't played Outlast, if you like that feeling of not being able to fight anything and feeling completely helpless as you're trying to get away from things, it's a good one.
Oh yeah, my favorite feeling to have.
When you go through the dark, you have to use the night vision on the camcorder, and you will run out of batteries, so it'll die on you, and so you have to find more batteries to be able to see in the dark. And shit would literally jump up in front of you when you put the camera up.
Oh, that sounds stressful.
It's great.
But I do say we all need to do VR night on that Phasmaphobia.
I don't have VR.
We just get really
Got 'em.
close to the screen.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I'll use my iPhone.
There you go.
So that's the podcast, everybody. Like, comment, and subscribe. Join us on... Can't even read right, dude. Like, comment, and subscribe to join the Mythic Mafia. Find us on YouTube and Twitch for our live streams, Fridays or Saturday evenings. We also have TikTok, IG, and Facebook, if that's your thing. We play in the Muradin realm on Alliance side and Illidan on the Horde side. Join our community Discord to chat WoW. Whether you're a noob like us or a seasoned vet, we are accepting of all levels and factions. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. See you next week.
Bye.
Dead silence.